a wife and a mother and an insurance agency owner, a friend, and a PTA advocate. I am so excited to talk about all of the things that I find most precious here within our community, within our lives, and within our faith, friendships, and relationships. Here on Heather's Most Precious. Welcome back to another episode of Heather's Most Precious. We are continuing in the educational series that we have been streaming for the last few episodes and are so excited to have Hannah Carter Crosa with us.
Yay! I'm excited to be here, talk about music, all things education. Love it.
Absolutely. So, Hannah, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you kind of have been and are doing.
Okay, so I am a music teacher. I'm teaching chorus and general music, and this is my first year in this new school system. But I knew I wanted to be a music educator when I got into 6th grade and kind of dove all in every way possible, like, chorus, band, theater, all of it, and did that all through high school and college. And I spent 1 year teaching elementary music and K through 5. And then for 4 years, I taught high school chorus. And now I'm teaching at a junior high school, which is 8th and 9th grade. And that's where I'm now teaching chorus and general music. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I've been teaching this is year 6 that I've been teaching.
That is awesome. So especially you knew very early on that this is what your passion was, what you wanted to spend your life kind of gearing toward was children specifically in music?
So when I really felt like I was just kind of average at most things, like when it came to being in school, like I didn't feel like I had found my thing or my place. And I did sports like all through elementary school and stuff. But when I got into middle school, I just didn't feel like I fit in that realm. And I didn't love it. And so I got into chorus and band in 6th grade, and I started playing the clarinet in band. And I loved my band teacher and I loved my chorus teacher. And it was really my chorus teacher that, I think she just saw that I had something. And just from her inspiration is what made me feel like I could do it. And that I didn't want to be just average in music. Like I really wanted to be the best. Like I wanted to be first chair in band. I just wanted to be more than average. And I had my teachers that were there to encourage me. And I just felt like I could do it. So it was 100% my teacher's inspiration, not just middle school, my high school chorus teacher, my high school band director and theater teacher. And what I think is amazing is that just within the community of music education, it is a small community, and that connection with each other, I still have such a great relationship with all of those people who influenced my life in this way. And so I just think that's really special. And that means a lot.
Absolutely. That is a beautiful thing. I think always a strong relationship with the educator and the student between them is so important. I've said in previous episodes that, I can count on less than a hand, right? The amount of teachers that I had the connection with, that I enjoyed being a part of the class, and you thrive in those classes, not because you like the teacher, but because the connection with them, you are more willing to listen. If they're bringing fun into the classroom, if they see you and are willing to invest in you, then that makes a difference on the student's end for wanting to participate, wanting to learn, wanting to grow, wanting to show the respect that the teacher deserves, as well as with kids, right? You constantly have to change things to be engaging. And I'm sure that you've seen that. The things that you were doing in chorus some of them are tried and true and traditional and you have to do them, but you've had to change kind of the songs that we're singing, and we've had to kind of get with the times a little bit, right? A lot of things have changed to make it current and to engage. So based on your experience, how important do you feel like you are in the front of the class with your students? Is there something particular that you do to try to engage with them?
I think especially just like being a fine arts person, you'll typically see that those kids, they spend most of their free time in those rooms. Mm-hmm. Like, the band kids, the chorus kids, like they're going to spend any and every opportunity they can when they can get away from a different class, to come back into your room. And I think that there's just something special about that. And it's because it is an escape. The arts, it is an escape, and it is also challenging. But it's just such a community. Mm-hmm. And, you build relationships there, and you build a relationship with your teacher, and it is really special. And that is the thing is, you don't necessarily, it's not a friendship, but it is kind of an understanding of like, I'm here so I can be an outlet for you, and I'm going to do everything I can to create that outlet and make you be creative and have that space to be creative. And I think, I've always taken into consideration, like my students, what they want to sing. I'll let them vote on songs. I'll let them go through the music library and pick things out. And then I'll look and I'll be like, okay, I could see this, just for different concerts and things like that. Yeah, there's the stuff that's traditional and choral, and that's important. That's part of music education. But there's also this piece of, teaching them to love that, like to love the traditional choral part of that too, because I think, there's a place for your pop songs or your fun concerts, but then there's also the place for the traditional music, and getting your students to understand how that is cool and how that is important. And, social media has actually done a pretty good job of, it has its good and bad, but it has done a good job of showing just how cool the old-timey music is. And I'm talking like Bach and Beethoven. There's this one guy on TikTok who will dress up as like, Beethoven or something, or Mozart, and he'll play one of their songs, and he just does all of these current dances to the song, and he'll talk about when the beat drops in the old time, in That's that period of music. It is so cool. And I showed that to my students. I think I saw that this summer. So I showed that to my students in my general music class, and we were talking about, music history. And I showed that to them. That's kind of how I started off the lesson, was just like, I'm just going to show you this. And, he's getting into it, and he's showing how cool that this music is. And yeah, the beat, how the kids say, the beat drops. It does. And it's so fun. And yeah, he just gets so into it. And I just thought that was such a cool way to introduce music that, a lot of these kids probably haven't heard it unless it's like in a commercial or in the background of something. It's not something that they're necessarily going to listen to. But it's really cool. And I just love how that connection can be made to them using things that they see, dressing up, doing a cool hip dance, and making it interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, we have talked about how a teacher finding the potential in you helped push you further than you could have gone. And you've given a lot of credit to their inspiration and their confidence in you that created a confidence in yourself. Now, being on the other side, how do you see that? First, are you able to find the potential in every student, or is it still where there are certain students that have it that you want to invest even more in? And I think there's always typically an over amount of confidence, typically in the fine arts. People know they're good, which is a great thing. I think it is such a confidence builder. It is therapeutic. There's so many good things. But do you feel like there are still kids that are good and maybe don't know it, that need the extra push? I know I've given you a lot there.
Right. No, for sure. I think I feel like people who are just born talented, just kind of are born with it. Always, there's no discrediting their talent, but some of them could go into it thinking I'm it, and then they move on, and it's like they get humbled a little bit of like, oh, there's so much more. And I'll even say that for myself when I went to college. I remember thinking like I wasn't going to grow vocally in certain areas, but man, it's just wild what those classes will do for you, and how much I did grow, and how much, there are people so much better than you, and that you just idolize and adore, and I want to do what they're doing. What are they doing in their lessons? So yeah, I think there's a part of that, of the people who are just kind of born with it, but also just knowing like, there's always, always, always room to improve in your education, no matter what it is. You're never going to be, it's never done. You never reach a point where vocally, like, because I haven't had lessons in a long time, and I just know like, oh man, if I could just spend another lesson with my voice teacher, like I'm going to learn something new from college, like I just know there's just so much more to learn, and do. And then for the students that don't have any confidence, but you see something, there's definitely something there. I mean, I'm thinking of one in particular that I had, and she just was so shy and would not, just wouldn't perform, but she had such a unique voice, and she would get so nervous. Like, I mean, when she would like, get up to perform, she would get so nervous and shake. I would do this thing called Talent Show Fridays not every Friday, but for a few minutes at the end of class. And she wanted to so bad, but sometimes she would just doubt herself. But every time she sang, the whole class would erupt into cheers. No. And, I would just encourage her, because she had such a unique voice, but it's that voice in your head telling you, this isn't good enough to share. But I think even for the ones that don't have, the most impressive, they are learning, and they can. I mean, you can develop your voice. And I think people are like, oh, I can't sing. Yes, you can. That is something, it's a muscle, like it is something you can develop and learn. And I just think it's beautiful, So for those that even are working towards something, working towards developing their voice, it's not for nothing, and it's not even just, in its chorus and the arts is not an individual experience. It is a group experience, and everybody gets better just when the one person's working on something, It's beautiful. I love the community of just not even when you're with a choir, but when you're working on yourself independently, just to see the growth and that light bulb moment for students, it's really special. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know if I answered all those questions.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Has there been a time when there has been maybe some jealousy between students? How has conflict like that, how are you able to help resolve that? Or maybe someone doesn't get a part over somebody else, so now they're not mad at this, they're mad at the wrong person, maybe. I don't know.
Right. I think for sure, I think that's one of the hardest parts of you being the person that has to choose who gets the solo, who gets this lead role, who gets... Oh, I hate it. And my students know that I hate it, because I will tell them, I was like, this is my least favorite part of my job, because there's so much talent. Like, right. There just is. And it's so hard to choose. And, you don't give it to you don't want to give it to the same person every time. You want to spread the love out, because again, you've got the talent. And so I think honestly, to dispute it against the kids so the kids don't get angry at each other, I always just like blame it on myself. Like, you can blame it on, like I'll take the heat. You can be mad at me. Don't be mad at this person for getting this part or this role. Just I always try and keep the heat on me and try not to let them get mad at each other. And I know that there's some jealousy, but I think that's also part of it. I think that's part of growing up in fine arts and and all of this. It's just part of it. You're not going to get every single role that you want. You're not going to get every single solo you want, and it's going to hurt and it's going to sting. But I always say, don't give up. Your moment's going to come, and I always just tell my kids to keep trying. And I also always give an opportunity, like, if you want to come work with me on this role or this solo or this, I always leave that out there. I don't have tons of kids take me up on that, but if you do, we can learn something, and then I get to know that student's voice or what their capabilities are even more too. So yeah, I just try and leave it, put it back on me, and have them not be angry with each other as best as I can. But that is a part of it. Yeah.
Yes. And for some of the students, Oakley is very into theater and musicals. We're trying to get him into some stuff, but we've said every audition, you either get it or you don't, but that has to push you to do it again. And because through being rejected, you learn your self-confidence. And if you push yourself more, then you have a better chance the next time. But that's where the growth happens. And I think sometimes, especially in the middle school area, junior high-ish, it does get difficult to see the end, because you do have, I think sometimes during that age frame, we're very, very confident in ourselves without the experience, without some of the training. And I think that's amazing that you give the opportunity. Y'all have such a short period of time during your related art session, during their school day, and sometimes maybe not even every day. So to have that time where you do get to allow them to showcase their voice in a way that you would have never had time to hear, especially with the multitude of students that you do see, is a really cool thing for you to be able to do.
And that's why I love to do, and I don't do it often, but just those like opportunities for them to sing a song or sing something for the class, because yes, it's good for me because I do get to hear individual voices, but it's also so good for building the self-confidence and having your peers clap for you and cheer for you, and also good for the other students in the class who are not doing that but could maybe want to, and just see somebody else going up and trying that. And it also teaches them audience etiquette, because I'm very passionate about that, just being an audience member in many ways. Some kids don't know how to act in, being in a theater, and there's going to be times in their lives where they're adults and they're sitting in a theater and they don't, we see it. We see adults in theaters who don't know how to act. And I think that's another part of it, is just teaching the audience etiquette, and also just building up everybody's self-confidence and the positivity in that environment. Just building everybody up is what it's all about.
Of course. Now, I know when we get into high school, which I know you've taught before, there are more of the opportunity. I know I had, once I made it into, choir, I did have that every single day. It was, part of my elective, part of my routine or schedule routine, school routine. And it's been a long time since I've been in school, clearly. But in middle school, does that change? I know this is kind of a new year for you too. Is that the same where they have it every day, or is that something that you only get to see them a couple times a week?
Yeah, I think it really depends on, the school schedule and where they're at with it. For me personally right now, I see the same kids every other day. So I'll see some kids 3 times a week and some 2 times a week. And my class times are really long. Actually, I have about 90 minutes with them. Okay. So, it is a big chunk that I am getting to see them in that one day. So I would say the schedule's pretty good, just based on the amount of time that I have with them. Now, if it was every other day and I only had like 40 minutes with them, I think that'd be much more difficult. And I know that that's how some people it is for them. But on this schedule, I think it works out pretty well for these kids.
Absolutely. I think, and especially in the, not just the choir, but in the general music, when you're trying to learn theory, trying to do that, it's so hard to start and stop and try to pick up. We can never get back to where we were, right, when the brain juices were flowing.
Yeah. And that's one of the hardest, theory is just it's a hard concept to understand. Mm-hmm. And I think, and it's not even just my general music classes. Like, this is something I'm so passionate about, just not even for general music, but for my chorus kids, because I've always said, like, for choir, my thing was, I want you to, number one, have fun in this classroom, but I want them to leave knowing how to read music in some way, because that was the biggest gift that I feel like I was given by my music educators, was the ability to read. And it has, now music is a big part of my life, but I just think, there's opportunities for community choir, other things, or if, even just singing along to the radio and being able to think of, like, oh, this is a pretty harmony to add to this. Just little things like that, just ear training and reading music is so important. And I think a lot of times parents and even like staff members in a school may think that all the kids are doing when they go to chorus is, oh, they're just singing. It is so much more than singing. A lot of times, sometimes you don't even get to the singing because you're teaching fundamentals, and or they're singing, you don't even get to singing part of a song yet because you're just singing to get your group acclimated to each other or something like that. So I think that's what I'm just so passionate about, is making sure that my students leave me having learned something about music that can benefit them in life. And that truly is part of it, even if it is just being able to sing a harmony on the radio. That's so cool. That's so fun. I just think about growing up and being in the car with friends and we're all just singing, and, you're singing some random part that's not in the song, but that's cool. That's great. And, so I'm just passionate about that, and just that they leave me, having had a great experience, that they can say that it was something that impacted their life in a good way. And I hope that my room is an escape from the academics that may get challenging, and the bad days, and the disagreements with friends, and the drama and all that. And it's just, we leave all that at the door and we come in and we just get to have this moment together. And that's what is most important to me in my classroom.
Yes. And I would think that a lot of teachers that are in your position, whether you are teaching private lessons, whether you are in a school, elementary, middle, high, college, whether you are in a theater, everyone wants to see the growth. And I will say y'all are, I think, because music people are typically very creative, very artistic in those ways, are generally happy and have a different way to instruct than some others that I've seen that is just kind of across the board. And I love that because it's such an inviting atmosphere, because you have to be calm and comfortable and relaxed to be able to sing in front of people, and to be able to allow yourself to get to the point where you can, open the note and hold it longer, all of those things. So I think that's such a cool thing. I know that we've spoken a lot about students in your classroom and how you are helping them and engaging with them. And I know we're even going to hear from some of your students and how your classes have impacted them, and a lot of them like their entire life, like somebody that had invested in you because they saw your potential, your music teachers. Now you have also done that with them. I do want to look at the parent side. I know sometimes fine arts is not always funded properly. I will say it's never funded properly. I think that there's kind of a stigma around that. Do you feel like some of that, I know before you literally said some people think it's just singing, that's all we're doing. Do you feel like that is part of the stigma around that maybe fine arts, whether it's music, chorus, orchestra, are not a vital part of our children's education?
I think for those people that may still have that mindset, yes, that probably is what it is. Just, in band, they're just going to, play notes on a horn, and that's all it is. And chorus is, you just sing. And theater, you just acting goofy up on stage, or, something like that. And, that's tough, because I feel like music educators for years have been trying so hard to flip that narrative and to show in every single performance that you go see. I think that's something that parents should have in the back of their mind is, I may sit here for a 30-minute performance to 30 minutes to an hour performance, and I'm listening, and some things are great, and there's they're kids, and some things may not always be great. Some things are great, and you can have an appreciation for your kid up there. But I think it's so important to think about, what did my kid have to do to get to where they're on this stage right now? Like, what went into that process of they're confident enough to stand up there in front of all of these people with lights up on them? What process did they go with their teacher and with their peers to be able to just do that? Because it's not easy. I mean, stage fright is a real thing. And for the kids that get up there and have solos or have their parts, or just standing up there with the lights up on you, it's intimidating. And I think, sharing your voice, sharing what you can create is an intimate experience. Even me today, I am bashful to sing in front of people because it is an intimate thing. It is unique. Only I have my voice. Only you have your voice. And I just think that's something that when you sit down to see a performance, think about, that was a great performance, but what all went into that for them to have the confidence to do that. So yeah, that's always what I would try and think of when people say, it's just this, and they're just going to do this one performance. But, you spent 12 weeks working up to that one performance. And there was a lot that went into it. I can guarantee you they weren't just singing, there was more that went into it. And it's not just fooling around on stage. And part of it is having fun in the classroom. And that is part of building the confidence to be able to do that, to be able to let your barriers down with the people that you're with and just do it and try and make something beautiful for other people to hear. So
there's a lot of perseverance in the preparation. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of dedication to not want to quit. Everyone's going to hit a wrong note. And that's embarrassing when you're on stage, or you forget your line, or you have a solo and you're standing there because you forgot the words. All of that, it takes not only the confidence, but the dedication to stand there. And when you think of the skills that students are learning all through education, through the fine arts, I think that people would realize this could make them a better business owner. This can make them an effective CEO of a company. This could make them a wonderful teacher. They could still be a pro football player. Who knows? But the skills that your children are learning in these are invaluable. And I think it's so easy, you're right, to push it aside and say, does that really matter? And we have 2 music teachers at our elementary school. And I know I've heard people every time like, why do we have to have 2? But we have a huge student population. And what I love is that they would never get music, maybe once a month if it were just up to the one. But the fact that we have that put value in music and in art and in all of these additional forms to be able to express ourselves. Sometimes we don't necessarily need words, right? And that's where being able to be artistic and draw is really important, and be able to express ourselves, express yourself on the stage, express yourself through a beautiful saxophone piece. There are so many ways to do that. And so I love that you've brought attention to the skills that they are forming behind the scenes, where you're not going to know.
Mm-hmm.
If there are parents of your students, have there been conflict that has maybe not been handled in a way that you would have wanted? Or if a parent does have conflict with something that maybe they hear in your class, or their students upset about not getting a part, how would you want them to approach you? And if you can give us an example of maybe how it's been done really well or maybe poorly, and what you may have changed with that, so that we could help encourage others to follow protocol.
I feel really lucky because I've always heard, of teachers just getting that really bad phone call or that really bad email. And I can say that in 6 years, I've only had really one bad interaction with a parent. And I would say that that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think that in that one interaction with the parent, it was I think it was a miscommunication. And I think a lot of times, typically, just from what I hear from other teachers and other music educators, is a lot of time it does come down to just miscommunication and something that a child said that maybe not necessarily is true.
Right.
And so I think the way to go about when you're talking with your teachers is maybe talk with them first, send them an email. I personally would rather get an email than get a phone call. And so that way I have my 24 hours to respond to that email. And a phone call can sometimes, I personally would not want a phone call. It's just me. But I would rather get an email, and I have my 24 hours to respond to that email and take into consideration what that is. But really, I think, I just don't have a lot of experience with parents being angry.
That's a great thing.
I know, it really is. But I would rather get an email. And a lot of times our kids do say some things, and it's just like, no, that's not what happened, or that, or, you see them have drama with another student, and they're talking about, and then it happened right in front of you, and you're like, no, I saw that, and that's not what happened. So I think, just go into it giving your teachers, whatever the situation may be, just giving them some grace, and talk with them about the situation, and just hear what they have to say. And a lot of times I hear people just go straight to their admin or something like that. And I think let that teacher have the opportunity to talk with you about what happened before you go above, if that makes sense. Like, let them have the opportunity to have that conversation with you before you take it up with somebody else. And then, of course, if it's not being solved, bring in their admin, have a conference, go to the school, have a conference with them for sure. That's kind of, I just don't have a lot of experience with that, which I'm really thankful for.
Yeah.
But,
I think that's great. And I think those are great tips for sure.
Yeah. And I just love, I think just being in the arts, there is the parents that want to support, they want to support, and they're going to do anything that they can, to be there for you. And I have had wonderful, incredible support from pretty much all of my parents. I cannot think of a single student's parents who has ever, really said that they're not going to be willing to help out. And I just think that that's wonderful. And for those kids that, struggle at home or don't have super supportive parents to bring them to their functions, there's other parents who are stepping in and going to get that child and taking them home and being that source for that kid too. And I just think that's beautiful. So parents play a vital role in the fine arts, because without the support from the parents, we would never, as just the teacher, be able to get, honestly, most of anything that we get for our kids. It really does come to the parents saying that they see value in this, and they want to support it, and they want their school system to support it, and they want their community to support it. And they go out to those people in those places and ask for their support. And that's really what it comes down to. It's parents are so important in the fine arts. And I'm just lucky that I've had beautiful, perfect, wonderful parents that have supported me, supported their kids, supported the program as a whole. I've just had wonderful parents in my experience. So
I love that. And I think that there are so many out there that do want to support. And unfortunately, a lot of times it's so easy to remember the negative, right? Even if there's a million good things that happen, we're going to remember the one negative interaction, and that sometimes will shadow everything. And so I'm so grateful that you're still able to see all of the help that you have provided. I do agree. It is an amazing community that you don't find many places that you do with the arts, of just inclusivity and being able to celebrate each other, which is great. You've touched on how parents and kind of the community can support y'all and things like giving rides to students who may not be able to come, rides home, different things like that to make sure that they are included in what they have been working and preparing for so long. What are some other ways either that you need support in your classroom or ideas for parents to help support their music teachers and their communities?
I think when parents get that letter or that notification that this program is coming up, this is happening, it would be so helpful just to maybe reach out to that teacher and be like, is there anything I can do for you to help you set up for the concert? Anything that I could do to bring for this performance? Or do the students need anything backstage? Because there are just things that, even as a teacher, like, you have so many things on your list that need to happen before a performance, and you don't always feel confident in asking for help all the time. But when people reach out, it's like, yes, let's delegate some of this out, because I never could do everything that I had to do for a performance without a parent's help. Even if it's just for a parent to come in during the rehearsal and take the pictures. Like, I've always had parents come in and just like get the pictures of the students and everything in the rehearsal before the performance. So even if it's small things like that, or bringing waters backstage when it's a theater performance, so the kids can stay hydrated, and or if it's theater and they need a prop or just something. There's always something that's needed, and it could be something that the teacher's not thinking of, or maybe the teacher does send out things, and just being able to lend a hand when you can. So when those performances, that schedule comes out, just send an email to that teacher, just, see if they need anything. And that would mean a lot, and then that shows that you are a supportive parent of what their kid is doing. And I think that's also really important, that just as a teacher, that that your parents care about what their students what their students doing in your classroom and the performance that they're going to create. So
yeah, I think that's great. And some ways that are only taking time. It's not a financial constraint. It's not anything like that. We're talking about some time and maybe a $5 pack of water, right? Just a very small commitment that would take. Because concerts, how many do you have a year of concerts or performances? It can't be that many.
So at the high school I was at for the past 4 years, I would have 2 performances, big choral performances a semester. And then I had like a talent showcase in the spring semester. So there was like 3 performances in there. Yeah. And then there's always a fall musical and a spring musical that I would help out with. So that was in my previous. And then this year, of course, I've had a baby. So not near as many performances this semester at this new job. But I would like to, at this job, have also 2 performances a semester. So just any opportunity that the kids have to perform, I just think is great. Ideally, 2 performances a semester is what I would like to have,
Absolutely. So, really a small amount of participation is what we're looking for.
Right.
which is even better for a lot of people that are busy with jobs, with family, with running kids everywhere. So wonderful ways. Definitely reach out to your child's school, get in touch with their music department to see if there are ways, specific events that they have coming up, or ways that you can help. Is there anything within your classroom? I know with elementary, it's so easy to be like, ooh, teachers have a list out. Let's go do these. But as children get older, there's less opportunity that are maybe presented. Is there anything that people could do to bring something into your classroom that would be helpful?
I can't necessarily think of anything for my classroom in particular. Just in the last 2 school systems that I've worked with, they have been very supportive of getting just like the things that I need in my classroom. Like the school system I'm currently at and the one that I was previously at, just things that I need, they would make sure that I had it. And so I think that's amazing and wonderful. But yeah, my first year when I did teach elementary school, I had nothing, and I was working with pretty much nothing in that classroom. And I spent so much of my first year teaching, spending so much money on things for that classroom. And it wasn't like the school couldn't provide me with anything. And I spent, at least $500, at least easily, on just materials for that classroom. That was tough. And especially when you first start teaching, you don't even get your paycheck until I think September. But you're working from July or something. You don't see that paycheck until September 1st. And I was 4 hours away from home. It was rough. So I would always just check in with that teacher and see if there's anything that they need for their classroom, because you don't know how supportive that your school system or that school particularly is for that class. And I'm thankful that I've, for the past 5 years had really a lot of good support, but that first year was really rough. So I would always just suggest to reach out and just see what they need, because it's going to differ from classroom to classroom, especially music classroom to music classroom. And there's different things that, in general music, I may be working on this with my general music kids, but, teacher down the street teaching general music could be working on something completely different and need different resources. So, just checking in and seeing if there's something particular in their classroom. I think that would mean a lot to anybody, not just music teachers, all the teachers.
Of course, all the teachers. That is awesome. Well, I am so grateful that you've spent time sharing about music education, what your experience has been like, ways that parents can help support, and ways that we can help deal with conflict in the classroom, and just to support the fine arts in the school, that it is so much more than just singing or just drawing on a piece of paper. There's so much more that goes into that. But in closing, I do want to ask, what do you find most precious about teaching music education?
Oh, okay. So I think like where I started, 6th grade, I had those teachers, and I had my chorus teacher that I really felt believed in me and put that inspiration and that encouragement that I needed to push me towards a goal. And that goal was to get my degree in music education and be a music teacher and be an inspiration like my chorus teacher was for me. And what is most precious to me is seeing truly a full circle moment where I have my music educators still in my life from middle school to high school to college, who are still supporting me, giving me all the encouragement, sending me gifts for my baby. Just truly are a part of my life. And then full circle again, for me to have students who have written me letters and have told me in person what my class means to them. And that it made a difference in their life, because it did that for me. Music brought me literally to everything that I have in my life now. I met Michael, my husband. We bonded over our love of music. Like, our first date was jamming out, singing. it brought me everything that I have today, just from that one teacher believing in me and seeing that in me, and me believing then in myself to make it happen. And so then to see how many beautiful students that I have that have told me, written me letters, there's just, the first time I got a letter from a student that told me how my class is impacting their life, I remember I just cried. And I can't even remember which student it was that I got the first one from, but I remember I just cried because I was like, this is what I have worked since 6th grade to be this person for somebody. And it just means so much to me. I'm getting choked up. But the students that you are going to hear from in this episode are, I call all of my kids like my kids. They are my kids. And if I've taught you, you're my kid. And I just have so much love for these 4 students that are adults and are still having music be a part of their life, and will attest to how much their education in the fine arts has shaped them as a person. And I just think it's beautiful. And they are all so special. And all of my kids that I've ever taught are so special. And that is what is so precious about being a music teacher, is just seeing the full circle moments happen over and over again. It means everything to me to have that. So, yes.
I love that so much. Hearing the answers to that question, what do you find most precious, just never gets old. I think you anticipate people saying the same thing over and over, but Hannah, you exude joy. Hearing you speak so passionately about your students and what music has done and is doing for you, is doing through you, and your teaching styles within your classroom. And I'm so excited to hear from your students, from former students, and how not only music has impacted them, but specifically being in your class, the difference that you've made, that 6th grader who wanted to make a difference, the way her music teacher made a difference for her. Being, as you've mentioned, that full circle moment. I'm so excited to hear about that. Y'all, as you have heard, I think we all know, right? We know mentally that teachers make a difference, but I hope that you have heard the heart behind Hannah's words, that there is so much more. This is more than singing. This is more than getting a solo. This is more than the theory of music on paper. This is more than a couple TikToks. There is such beauty in teaching students who may think outside of the box and may not get this type of teaching within their core curriculum. There's such beauty in a teacher that is not only passionate, but truly exudes joy and love and wants to see her students excel. Hannah, we've gotten to hear that from you, and thank you so, so much for our time together. I really want y'all to hear, in closing, from her past student, how music has made a difference for them. For Hannah being the 6th grade student on the other side of a teacher believing in her, I want y'all to hear how she has truly made an impact in these students' lives. So y'all take a listen, and we will see you back next week as we continue this educational series on Heather's Most Precious.
Hey guys, I'm Adeline Davenport, known to Hannah Crosa as Addie, but I am a former student in Hannah Crosa's choir. I had her when I was in high school, and she completely changed my whole choir life. She brought in so much love to our department and took me under her wing like I was her own baby. And aside from her music has changed my life for the better. It is what has connected me and my family. It's how I communicate a lot of my feelings and how I feel. It is what allows me to heal from heartbreak, and it's what allows me to feel a certain kind of joy. I'm not majoring at my university in music, but I do musical theater on the side, and it is one of the things that keeps me going and keeps me motivated. And I can thank Hannah Crosa for a lot of that, for encouraging me to keep showing my talent off. And I'm just very, very grateful for all that she has done.
Hey everybody, it's Jordan. I'm one of Hannah Carter's former students, and being in chorus has impacted the rest of my life. I'm actually a music major right now at the same college that Hannah Carter went to because she inspired me to go there. She inspired me to be a music major, and I would not have given up my time in high school chorus or theater for anything. It impacted me in a way that nothing else could, and it meant so much to me, especially to have such an amazing teacher as Hannah Carter, who just made it so special for me and such an unforgettable experience. So yeah, thanks.
Hi, my name is Madeline, and I participated in band, color guard, theater, and chorus. I moved around a lot when I was young, but one thing that has always been a constant for me is my participation in music and the arts. No matter where I've lived, I've always found a sense of place, a sense of community, and a sense of self in my participation in music education and the arts. I've gained so many incredible mentors and friends through this program, and I can honestly say that I wouldn't be the person that I am today. The things that you learn in music education don't just teach you how to be a better performer, a better singer, or a better actor. They taught me how to be a better person, a better human, and how to make the world around me a little bit brighter every single day. I can say with complete confidence that I would not have been able to succeed in my academic courses the way that I did without the break that my music education classes gave me and without the comfort that they brought to me. I know for a fact that I wouldn't have had the confidence to apply to a big college or to go out for the internships that I currently hold without the opportunities that my fine arts education opened for me early on. I can say with complete confidence that music education and fine arts made me who I am and brought me to where I am today.
Hey guys, it's Sophie. I am one of Hannah's former students. I am a music education major at Young Harris, where Hannah went. I just want to talk about how music and theater and dance has impacted my life so much. I've been doing theater since I was 9 and singing as long as I can remember. But when I got to high school and I had Hannah as my teacher, she completely changed the way that I look at music and feel about music. It was like a whole 180. I feel that she totally pushed me to where I am today. Since I'm a music education major, I want to be able to impact students the way that she did on me and just help them become better musicians and feel the passion that I did when I was in school. But I absolutely love it, and I'm so grateful for music because it pretty much saved my life. But yeah, thanks so much. Love you, bye.
Heather's Most Precious is brought to you with love by the Hendrickson Agency, an insurance agency serving all of Georgia and Tennessee. The Hendrickson Agency, properly protecting your most precious possessions. Support for Heather's Most Precious is provided by Study.com, which offers SAT and ACT study materials and even has resources for AP and college credit courses. Listeners of Heather's Most Precious get 30% off their first 3 months of any subscription level with offer code PRECIOUS. Just go to Study.com and use offer code PRECIOUS at checkout. Heather's Most Precious is produced by Chattanooga Podcast Studios and is part of the Podnooga Network. Find out more at ChattanoogaPodcastStudios.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll be back soon with another episode of Heather's Most Precious.